Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video. Welcome back to the channel here, and let's get into today's case. So today's case takes place in 2015 October in Epping, Melbourne, Australia. The case involves around Sam Abraham and Sofia Abraham, and they have a 7-year-old son. Sam had actually come to see his parents and relatives in October of 2015 in Kerala, and he informed his parents and relatives just when he was leaving that maybe the next time they'll see him, he'll come back in a coffin. And unfortunately, 3 days later, they learned of his death via silent attack in Melbourne, Australia. Of course, when they learn of Sam's death just 3 days later, all his family and his relatives are questioning, like, how could someone predict their own death? Like, how did he know that something was going to happen to him? And that's actually when this true crime actually comes to light about this case and the unfortunate ending that Sam had. And he was somewhat aware of what was happening, but it looked like he did not share any details with his parents as to warn them, but he kind of just told them, this might be the last time that you're seeing me alive, and the next time I come back to see you, it's going to be maybe in a coffin. 2015 October, Sam was living in Epping, Melbourne, Australia with his wife and their 7-year-old kid, and right before that he was working in Oman, and he was living there with Sofia, his wife. The reason for Sam moving to Melbourne was that Sofia had actually gotten a job there because her sister lived there, and Sam wanted to support her, so he moved there with her and their son. And both Sam and Sofia were working, and they were living very happily with their son. And on the outside, it seemed like everything was going very well for them. Every year, as usual, Sam wanted to see his parents as much as he could, so he would visit India every year to see his parents. In October of 2015, they decided to take some days off of work and visit Sam's parents in Kerala, India. And at that time, Sam told his father, I feel like I won't have much longer to live. And his father was kind of thrown off by it, but he didn't really think anything of it because Sam did not share any more details as to why he feels that is the case. 2 days after returning to Australia on October the 15th, 2015, Sam's father, Mr. Samuel, receives a call from his daughter-in-law crying on the other end of the line, and she told him that Sam had died via silent heart attack. Sofia was alone in Australia, and she got all the paperwork done, everything done to take Sam's body back to India to his parents, so they could do his final rituals and rites. And it took her about 2 to 3 days to take permission and do all the paperwork to take Sam's body back to his family home. And just 3 days from finding out about Sam's death, his body arrives in Kerala, India on October the 18th in his family home. Along with Sofia and Sam's son and Sam's body came Sofia's sister. Her name was Sonia. She also came along to India with them to help her sister. As soon as Sam's body arrived, his parents were in complete shock. Actually, the whole Abraham family was completely shocked as to how Sam could have predicted his death. How did he know that this was going to happen to him? Their son had just left India like a few days ago, and now they have his dead body in front of them. They were very shocked, and they just did not know how to process this news and how to think about all this information that they were getting. Sam's body was then buried in India with his son, his wife by his side, and his parents were also there. And their whole actual family was shattered with grief, and with heavy hearts, they did his final rites. Especially Sofia at the time, it seemed like this death of Sam really hit her. And she was very emotional. She was very much in shock as to what's happened. And if you read about some articles and some news reports from that time, Sam's father is clearly telling that, Sofia is very hurt. She very much is shocked by this news and does not know how to process it. Sofia and her 7-year-old son returned to Australia. They came back to Australia because Sofia had taken some time off of her respective job, and she had to get back to her job. She had a 7-year-old son that she had to raise and provide for. And she told Sam's parents, if I don't go back to Australia, I'm going to end up losing my job, which of course, they probably thought, like, we don't want that to happen, you know. They just lost their son, but they were also thinking about their grandson and their daughter-in-law, and that she had to provide for him. So on October the 23rd, Sophia and her son, her 7-year-old son, they go back to Melbourne, Australia. Every Saturday, Sophia would call Sam Abraham's parents just to check up on them, how they were doing. And, you know, she did keep like up to date with how well they were doing emotionally, and, you know, how they were dealing with Sam's death. And she would let their grandson talk to them and, you know, kind of keep them in the loop so that they didn't feel so alone in this. Eventually, you know, the call stopped, and in the first week of August 2016 was the first Saturday that Sophia actually hadn't called India, and that's when the call stopped going to Sam's parents every Saturday. When Sophia stopped calling Sam's family, of course his family was now getting worried about Sophia and their grandson. So, you know, they called some of their relatives and some of their friends that they knew in Australia to check up on Sophia and see what's going on in her life. Their relatives soon find out, to the shock of everyone in the family, that Sophia has been in the custody of the Victoria Police for the last 15 to 20 days. And what they learn comes as very shocking news to them. And on top of everything else that was going on, they also learned that their daughter-in-law had been charged with the death of her husband, so their son, Sam Abraham, and that the Australian police suspected her as the main suspect in the death of Sam Abraham. As much as Sam's family is shocked about this, then they also get another shock, which is that there was another man involved in this. His name was Arun Kamalasan. He was also a man that was from Kerala as well. You know, the Victoria Police in Melbourne, Australia presented some evidence to both Sophia and Arun, and after which they confessed to killing Sam. And Sophia confessed to having this affair with Arun that no one essentially knew about, and how Arun had just attacked Sam Abraham 3 months before he actually died and went to India, and was telling his father, maybe he was thinking, you know, this attack happened on me, which he didn't inform his parents of, and that maybe next time they might kill me, because he did feel like that it was an attempt to murder him at that time. A little bit of backstory about Sophia and Sam is that their houses were very close to each other in Kerala. They were childhood friends. They both had interest in music. They both went to school together, and then they also continued to go to college together as well. So they essentially knew each other from the very childhood. So this news that Sophia killing Sam was even something that his parents heard of, you know, was very shocking for them to hear this. Both of Sophia and Sam's love story actually had started when they both fell in love with each other in college. And Sam had actually proposed to Sophia once he was working in Oman with a really lucrative offer. And Sophia had agreed to marry Sam, but on the other side, she was also involved with Arun, who she found was very stylish, very, you know, like her type of guy. And Sam, on the other hand, was very simple. And she always just tell Arun about Sam, how he's so simple, how he's not her type. But she ended up accepting the marriage offer. And she also, you know, in the beginning, Sam's father was very hesitant when Sam told him that he wanted to marry Sophia, because he said he just did not get the right vibes from Sophia. And now we know what the reason was, but unfortunately Sophia threatened to kill herself, so Sam's father agreed to their marriage, and they ended up getting married in 2008. Sophia, she never let Sam know about Arun at all, so Sam didn't even know that Arun existed in this love story. Arun had some idea of Sam, but, you know, he was not sure to what extent their story was, so he kind of just thought he was her boyfriend. After they had gotten married in 2008, in 2009 is when Sam and Sophia both moved to Oman. And, you know, Sam was working there. It was very close to India, so he could visit his parents almost every 2 months. And for him, that was the main reason that he took up that job, was to see his parents more often, as he was their only son. Sophia became pregnant in Oman, you know, and then she returned to India, to Kerala, to give birth to their son. And while she was in India, after she gave birth to her son, Sophia kept in contact with her sister Sonia, who had gotten a job in Melbourne, Australia, and, you know, got her help to get herself a job in Melbourne, Australia. Sophia also, thought that, she has an MSc degree in electronics, so why doesn't she try to get a job in Melbourne, Australia? Because it is a very livable city, and, they could do much better there. After seeing Sophia's resume, a company in Melbourne, Australia offers her a job, and she leaves for Melbourne, Australia in the early months of 2012. While Sophia and her son had reached Australia in the early months of 2012, Sam also was supposed to join them, and he talked to his company in Oman and got his job transferred to Australia and had moved there in the year of 2013 to be with his wife and their son. One of the biggest positives that when they moved to Australia was that their son had grown up, and they were both working, so their family life was really well. Like, they were doing really great as a family of three. But no one knew the actual story about why Sophia had moved to Australia. There was a very dark story behind her reason to actually even think about moving to Australia, and that was Arun. Arun had actually gotten a job there in an engineering company, and he was working there, and he had gotten married and had a son. And moving to Australia gave Sophia some hope that she could be closer to Arun. But despite being married, once Sophia landed in Australia, she continued to talk to Arun through social media apps and kept in contact with him, even though they both had been married, both have had one kid each, and they had their respective lives in front of them. Sophia states that her main reason for moving to Australia was because of Arun. She wanted to move there to be closer to him. And when Sam ended up moving to Australia in 2013, it became very difficult for Sophia and Arun to meet each other regularly. So it kind of became as that Sam was a hurdle in their way. And one day, that one unfortunate day, that Sophia had an idea that if Sam were to die somehow, that she could be with Arun, Sam wouldn't be in the way. And she then went ahead to share this idea with Arun. Of course, he liked this idea very much because he was very much in love with Sophia. Arun had started keeping a close watch on Sam's activity so that he could get the right time, to murder Sam. Sam was sitting outside a metro station in his car, and Arun, wearing a mask with a knife in his hand, approached him and slashed his neck with a knife and his cheek, thinking that he had killed him. But fortunately, Sam had survived that attack, and Arun was listed as the main suspect. As soon as Sam came home after that attack, Sophia, of course, told Arun that he's still alive, he survived the attack. Then they started to come up with another plan. They had come up with many ideas in this time on ways to kill Sam, and then they came up with the idea of poisoning him with cyanide. On October 14, Sophia had mixed cyanide into Sam's orange juice. He drank that orange juice without knowing that there was cyanide in it, and he drank the juice and went to bed, and unfortunately to never wake up again. And Sophia knew that he was dead. Arun was there, and they both got intimate with each other. Arun then left, and Sophia and her son slept in the same bed with the dead body of Sam. As soon as the morning came, Sophia had started crying loudly, very loud, saying that her husband had died. He had a silent heart attack. And hearing her crying, some of her neighbors from around the neighborhood, gathered at her house. They then took Sam to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Once Sophia heard that Sam was dead at the hospital, she actually had started crying a lot, and she had put up this great act. Everyone believed that she was a widow that was mourning the loss of her husband. Once Sophia knew that Sam had died, she quickly started arranging for to take his body to India to make sure that there was no autopsy conducted in Australia, because she knew that if an autopsy was conducted, it would clearly state how Sam had died, and that would implicate her and Arun both. You might be thinking, so how did Arun and Sophia get caught? Now, this credit all goes to the Victoria police, who did this investigation and got to the bottom of it. And in the Victoria police, when Sam had died, some of the senior officers, they did suspect that something was going on, so they decided to keep an eye on Sophia. And she decided to move some money from Sam's account, all the money from his account to her account. But for them, that was normal because her husband had passed away and she was the wife, so she could do that. But they kept having an eye on her because they knew there was something more. than just a regular, silent attack that had happened. Slowly, the detectives start to learn about Sofia and Arun's affair, and they also decided that let's keep an eye on Arun as well to see what this is, if this could have played a part. After Sam had passed, the police was keeping an eye on Sofia and Arun, but they never really directly questioned them. So in their minds, as time went on, they had, gotten away with Sam's death. Like nobody knew about it and they were free to live their lives now. A police detective actually became a close friend of Arun's, and Arun never even suspected that this man could be a detective. So he befriended him and they became friends. The police detective then tapped Arun and Sofia, both of their phones, and one day they heard a conversation on the phone. On that call, they were clearly saying, so much time has passed and we've gotten away with it. Like no one knows what's actually happened and we could be together finally. The detective that had befriended Arun was drinking with the detective one day and he confessed to the detective, once I had killed someone with poisoning to their orange juice. And then the detective had actually informed and recorded all when Arun was confessing this while he was drunk, that he had killed someone by adding cyanide into their orange juice. He had recorded it and had passed that information down to his senior police officer, and then even they knew that something more had happened to Sam than it's just a natural death. And they knew that now both Sofia and Arun were involved in his passing. The police in Victoria then requested that his Arun's body be dug up and examined in India for any foul play, for anything like that. And once they had done the toxicology report, it reported that there was cyanide in his blood, in his liver, and now the police knew how Sam had died. On August 12, 2016, 10 months after poor Sam had passed away, Victoria police arrived at Sofia and Arun's house to arrest them. And they also found a diary during the search when they arrested Sofia, and the diary was written in Malayalam. And the police sent the diary to be translated, so that they could use that as evidence when the trial actually begins. After hearing all this evidence, the call recordings, the diary, and all the confessions, the diary was used both by Sofia and Arun, and they had confessed their love and how they wanted to be with each other. Or how will they get to be with each other. After really reading all those entries and hearing those recordings, the Victoria Supreme Court delivered its verdict of 24 years, which will not be eligible for parole for 21 years. On the other hand, they gave Sofia a verdict of 22 years, and she will not be eligible for parole for another 18 years. During her sentencing, Sofia was saying, I have a young son, please reduce my sentence. And the judge clearly told her, unfortunately, these are the steps that you took, and your son is the unfortunate victim in all of this. He's the one that's suffering. And the court in Australia then awarded the custody of Sofia and Sam, Abraham's son, to Sofia's sister Sonia. Later on, Sam's family did apply to get his son moved to be with them, the grandparents, and they did get custody of their grandson. At this point, nobody really has any information about Arun's wife or their son. So they are both in jail, guys, serving their sentence, and it was an unfortunate ending to this story, and two families were broken up because of the actions of these two very selfish human beings. And to think about it, how your wife or your spouse is someone you're supposed to trust blindly, and they break your trust, that's for anyone. That is very for your family to break your trust, you don't expect that from them. You expect them to be by your side to keep you safe, they should be your safe haven. But unfortunately, this case, Sofia gave Sam the biggest betrayal of his life, and he unfortunately ended up losing his life and his parents without a son, and now they're raising his son, which is their grandson. And I'm glad that they got custody of the grandson. At least it gives them some sort of hope that they are playing some sort of role in Sam's life and taking his legacy forward. And that their son has some really supportive grandparents that are willing to raise him, that are willing to be there for him in his life. Maybe someone as Sofia's sister Sonia might not have been able to, because she would have moved forward with her life, got married and all of that. So, the takeaway from this case, guys, today is that we really need to take into account our actions and how many lives they could affect. This affected three families, two marriages, and now two kids. Okay, and someone's life getting taken away, and unfortunately grandparents who are still suffering, I'm sure, every single day. And I just want to thank you guys again for taking the time out to watch this video. If you guys have any recommendations for any of the cases that you want me to cover, please do link them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.